Today's video is of course brought to you by Sweetwater.com, best place to get your gear. I'm gonna shout out something new I just added into my desk. Is the Rupert Neve 5211 2-channel mic pre's, and it is just that. 2 channels, mic pre's from Rupert Neve Designs. It has the silk button and the texture knob. Recently put it to use recording some P-bass, and it sounds absolutely fantastic. If you want to check it out yourself, there's a link to it down in the description, as well as all the other gear that I use. They're affiliate links. Check them out. Thank you, Sweetwater, for sponsoring the video. There's also links to today's guest, Bob Clearmountain. Bob Clearmountain is an American recording engineer, mixer, and record producer. Also, a very cool person to hang out with. Now, let's be honest, there's no way to summarize Bob Clearmountain's career, but I will just mention a few records that he's worked, because he's just... So let's see here. Bob has worked on records with Bob Marley, Bruce Springsteen, David Bowie, The Rolling Stones, Janet Jackson, The Who, Bryan Adams, The Band, Tina Turner, Toto, Van Halen, Kiss, The Ramones, Paul McCartney, Melissa Etheridge, Spoon, Keith Urban, Kelly Clarkson, and like 235 other artists, give or take. He has his own plugins that you can get made by Apogee. They are fantastic. Check them out if you haven't already. So Bob actually has 2 incredible studios. I was fortunate enough to go hang out with him at his mix room, and then today we're gonna get an inside look at what he refers to as his cool garage studio that he records out of. Now, before we get into it, don't forget to hit the like button if you guys like this kind of stuff. Subscribe to this channel. There's a whole fleet of these epic studio tours, as well as other cool gear stuff and a bunch of other stuff that's coming out in the very near future. Let me know down in the comments what you like at Bob's studio, and let's go check it out.
Hi, my name is Bob Clearmountain. We're here at the Apogee Studio, which is a studio that I kind of built and created. It was really a storage space. I mean, it's the Apogee building. They do all their research and their development here. They don't actually manufacture here, but they test and assemble products, and it's never happened, but of course, if any Apogee piece of gear ever broke, I mean, they would repair it here. They have a lab. But anyway, so this was an extra kind of a space. This was actually an office, because originally it was a print shop on this side, and it was an antique dealer on the other side. And so this was some sort of an office, and there was a big printer in the studio, which I'll show you in a minute. But so we've kind of redesigned it. My wife, Betty Bennett, is the CEO of Apogee, and I saw this space, and we were just storing a bunch of junk in here. And I said, geez, this would be great to build a little studio, like a cheap studio in here. And she said, okay, well, if you leave me alone and get the hell out of my office, and we'll build a studio. Okay. But it's supposed to be a really like a garage type studio, you know, for garage bands, because I wanted to maybe produce some things. But anyway, so this is the lounge here.
When did you guys start the build here?
All right, this was, well, the building was bought in around 2000, I think, something like that. And then we built the studio in 2005, 2006. So let me just take you into the control room. I pretty much laid this out. I had a guy named George Augsburger, who's a brilliant studio designer. He actually just helped me with the angles, you know, because he said, look, you're gonna have to make it just a little bit more symmetrical than it was, and like make these angles in the front pretty much the same. When we first built it, we had the help of a wonderful designer who actually does hotel rooms, like high-end, like hotels, buildings and rooms. And of course, she didn't know anything about acoustics.
Yeah.
And so the ceiling was made out of metal studs, and we had this horrible standing wave.
Yeah.
But then a guy named Brett Taney, who did my studio at home, he came in and he knocked on it, and it kind of went boom. He goes, oh, this is awful. And so he ripped out the ceiling and did this ceiling. He's from a company called Bodo Design, is the name of his studio, his design company. So he put these big bass traps in here. And basically, so it's a studio. Me and my assistant Brandon Duncan kind of laid out. We figured out the wiring, and a few other helpers did all that. Now this is an old Neve 8068 from the 70s, and I wanted a console like this.
Yeah.
Because I had used one of these back at Media Sound and Power Station, where I used to work in New York in the 70s. And I thought, well, this would be a great old thing to have. It's a classic console. The preamps, there's some of the best sounding preamps on the planet.
Yeah.
And So I Googled it, and this particular one came up, which was actually the one from Studio A at Power Station.
Yeah.
That I made a bunch of records. The River for Springsteen was recorded on that. I mixed the Hungry Heart on this. I mixed the single for the Stones, Miss You, on that. There's a bunch of Roxy Music records, Bryan Adams, his first couple of records we did on that, and you know, and plus a whole bunch of other people besides the things that I did. David Bowie, I could go on and on. You know, it just really has an incredible legacy. But the thing was that Betty knew I wanted. My wife Betty knew I wanted one of these as well. She knew exactly what it was, and so she had her guy Lucas Vandermee, one of the main engineers here, looking as well, because he was into finding stuff on eBay or whatever. He found the same exact console, and so it was just him and me bidding against each other, and we probably bid up the price a little bit.
That is so crazy.
And but we ended up getting it. We ended up putting about $25,000 into upgrading it.
Wow.
Because if anybody knows anything about the 8068, the monitor is on it was the first inline console Neve ever made.
Yeah.
And so the monitor is on these little pots, and the mics were permanently on the faders. Yeah. And of course, if you're doing like a radio show or something, you want to record to a multi-track, and you want to be able to do a mix.
Yeah.
And mixing on these things is a pain.
Of course, yeah.
And so we did a fader flip, which is a really intense modification on this console. Plus we did a lot of other things. So now I can mix here, set the mic levels, and the recording doesn't get touched. And I can do anything as far as mixing. And that works great for doing the radio shows for the local radio station, KCRW, which we've done about 100 now.
Wow, that's great. And so you guys do all those live performances here, and you get to use this studio to do it.
So just make a quick cut. Let me turn these lights on. Hang on, that's better.
Yeah, okay. That's much better.
Yeah, now you can see all our Apogee Symphony Mark II interfaces here. So that's our machine room, which is actually under the counter for the kitchen there. That's
convenient for the wiring.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's really good. There's air conditioning in there and everything.
Cool.
And so we have a Pro Tools rig and a Logic rig. And usually for the radio shows we do both. We have a big mult that sends the output channels of this to both systems. So we have a backup in case something goes out.
Yesterday we talked about how when you would do mixes, just generally, you would also do a 5-1 mix.
Yeah, that's right.
So you had all these 5-1 mixes from everything you've done.
For the last 23 years or something, from whenever the 5-1 thing started, it was big. It was a big thing for about a minute.
Yeah.
Back in the day, and my wife Betty once again said, "You should be mixing surround," because it was the new thing at the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, Jesus Christ, really? Surround? How am I going to do that? Like, do people even get 2 speakers in phase all the time?"
Yeah, sure.
And but then it was one of those things. I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I was like, "Wait a minute, I know how I could do this." And the other things that bothered me were compression. Okay, well, who makes a really good 5-1 analog compressor?
Yeah, no.
But I figured out a way to do it using my SSL in the other studio. So yeah, so I have a server full of 5-1 mixes that nobody's ever heard except me. And so maybe someday, what I have to do is now go back and upgrade them all to Atmos.
Yeah.
Which I'm starting to do that actually.
So that was going to be my segue into this. Both here and at your home studio, you have an Atmos setup.
Well, this room we've just set up for Atmos monitoring with these Neumann KH 310 speakers, and then the 120s up in the ceiling.
Yeah.
And I haven't mixed anything here, but my friend David Boucher, who was an assistant of mine years ago, he's been mixing some stuff he does a lot of stuff for Netflix and for Disney, and he's been mixing some things in here. He's been working on an Andrew Bird album, and he loves it. I mean, he mixes in the box. He doesn't use the Neve.
Yeah.
Neve isn't really designed for that kind of thing.
Atmos, yeah.
You know, I mean, nobody heard of Atmos back then.
Great tracking desk, though. One of my favorites to cut through.
It just sounds incredible. It really, really does. You know, there were a bunch of mods done. It was recapped a couple times by a guy named Fred Hill, who you might know because he's from Nashville, I believe. And he did the mods for us, the fader flip. Plus, there's a whole bunch of other mods that make it a lot more convenient for actually doing mixing and various things.
Yeah, I see there's a bunch of compressors up there, and
yeah.
Are these like the group outs? Oh yeah.
Yeah, those are the bus outs. These are the auxes. These are the 16 output buses, and these are compressors. These are the original Neve compressors, and I think, yeah, those two are Neve compressors, and these are these Shep kind of copies.
Oh, cool.
Neve copies. They're pretty much the same, though.
When you produce or track stuff, you like to come here and cut it here?
Yeah. If I'm producing something, we did a whole album for a girl named, a wonderful singer named Lori Lieberman, who wrote the, I don't know if you remember this song, Killing Me Softly by Roberta Flack. She made it a big hit. She wrote that. Oh, wow. And so we did an album for her where it was pretty much a live album. She had just a rhythm section, and she sang in the booth. And
it's fun.
Spent a week doing that record, and then I mixed it in the other place. So anyhow, and then we have some museum pieces over here. This old 800 multi-track. We don't really use it. Doesn't even have a remote. And it's a Mark I, so it's got this big gap between the race head and the record head, which is really awkward for punching in.
Yeah.
But I originally bought it just for transferring to digital.
Yeah.
And it mostly works. And a rack of old gear. Most of that doesn't work actually, but it looks good.
Oh yeah.
Some of it works.
Yeah, this is all great stuff. And you guys have these 1178s.
1178s. I love the 1178. I kind of, well, I was going to say I prefer it to but no, I'm not going to say that. No, actually, they kind of suck. So don't bother buying them.
Yes. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, just stick with your 1176. And then, of course, there's the Pultex, which is like my favorite equalizer on the planet that I've been using since I was, well, since just after the Civil War, I think it was when I started using them back in the day. And they're very good. They're the newer ones. Mm-hmm. The guy that made them stopped making them. The power station where I used to work had 24 of them in every room.
Oh my God!
And that was the last run that this guy Eugene that designed them. He retired and he stopped making them. But a guy named Steve Jackson went and found them and said, "Look, you got to help. I want to bring these back. I want to revive it."
Yeah.
And he was really dedicated, and Eugene trusted him, and so they're exactly the same as the original. I mean, they're just totally identical.
Yeah.
And so I bought 2 of them. I have 3 of the originals, and I have 2 of the new ones. And these are these are the new ones.
So question for you about those.
Yeah.
We have the ones that we had at East West, all say Pulse Technology.
Right,
Is that
that's
the original
company.
Okay.
Yeah, now it's Pulse Techniques, I think it's called now.
Okay.
You know.
But those were all silver, and then I know there's blue versions.
There's the blue version as well.
Are those like the same?
Basically the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then they make the original EQP was a larger one.
Oh, okay.
And then they came out with this and made it the 1A3.
Yeah.
And it was originally the EQP 1A, I think.
Yeah.
And something that I don't know.
Fantastic EQs.
Yeah. Then there's the LA3s, which I'd love. I just prefer them to the LA2. I don't know why, they just sound a little better to me. A little more transparent.
And I gotta ask, so you have the X-Logic here, and at home I saw, I don't know if you have one of those at home.
I do.
But I saw you had the G384, which I absolutely love that SSL G384 at the FX.
Well, I think this is the newer version of it, but they're basically the same. And then it's the same as the one in the desk.
Yeah.
In the console, which is why I got this here for the radio shows, because I was missing the sound of that.
Yeah.
And so now when I'm mixing stuff, I'm doing a live mix, I put it through that. These are the vintage Apogee mic preamps. These are one of my favorite, besides the Neves, these are my favorite mic pre's.
Wow.
Which you can't get anymore, of course. They
Yeah.
stopped making them. But the Apogee was never known for mic preamps back when they made those. So they've never become popular, which is cool with me because then there's more for me.
Yeah,
because I
sure.
got a bunch of them.
That's so cool.
Although it's a shame because people that tried them are like, where's this been all my life?
Yeah.
You know, they sound so good. And then this is for our Sennheiser wireless microphones, which are really come in handy for the radio shows.
Like handheld kind of things?
Yeah,
Oh,
just
cool.
stage mics. They're just tremendous. The
Oh, wow.
635, I think it's called. Let's go enter the studio.
Sure.
All right, so this room, the idea behind this is something that I've had in the back of my head since forever. But I always thought it'd be great to have a combination recording studio performance venue.
Yeah.
You know, and so this is kind of like a little club. I mean, it's maybe about the size of the Viper Room or something like that in Hollywood. And a lot of little clubs kind of like this. And so we put a stage in. In fact, that was the first thing that was built, was the stage, when we built the thing, before all the walls were put up. And we started, the original stage is smaller. We have 2 extensions.
Yeah.
Because we
I see
started
that,
to do larger bands and we needed to extend it. So and like we could put 2 of them over there sometimes, 2 of them over here.
Yeah.
And it's pretty versatile, and it's usually standing room. We get about 180 people in here standing room.
Really?
Set up a bar back here and another bar over in the other corner. And then there's like a VIP section up there if you swing around.
Yeah. Man, this is so cool. I
Yeah.
love the ceiling. Like the open wood.
It's a bow truss building, and that's the original ceiling, which is a little tricky because there's no isolation. Like if a
Sure.
big helicopter goes overhead or something,
Yeah.
and you're doing strings or a vocal, it's not great.
You
but
hear it. You're gonna do that one more
you
time.
just have to do it again.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't really think about, we didn't worry about sound isolation. I mean, these walls are just basic stud walls.
Yeah.
And so, like in there, when we have a band out here, I have to really crank it to get over the bass.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Especially
coming
with the
through the
PA,
wall.
yeah.
Yeah, but that's all right. And it makes the control room sound better. I mean, a lot of studio designers get locked into this total isolation thing.
Yeah.
Which is a bunch of nonsense. It's not necessary.
Oh, thank you.
You know, so some of the bass leaks out, which is really what you want in a control room. Because if you have a concrete bunker and you're trapping all the bass in there, now all of a sudden, what do you do with all that bass that's bouncing around and bouncing off the walls? And you have to build bass traps, and then your control room starts to get much smaller.
Yep.
You know, well, just let it go out. Don't worry. Okay, just if you're doing something sensitive like strings or a vocal, don't turn it up. Listen on small speakers.
Yep.
That's all. I mean, it's easy. It's better to work around that and have a good sounding room.
I appreciate that so much.
Yeah, and this is people, they get confused, I think. Think, oh, it's got to be soundproof. No. That's like about the worst thing you can do. But anyway, so there's a little ISO booth here for vocals.
Nice.
All right. And then
Line of sight from the stage into the control room.
Yeah,
That's great.
That was also something when we built Power Station. That was my thing, that I wanted to be able to see everybody.
Yeah.
From the control room. And then this here, there's sliding doors that close this off. So
oh, cool.
We only have the one little ISO booth, and so sometimes we'll put drums in here or acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
Or maybe I've done a string quartet in here. I've done a small horn section, you know, if you're trying to do it live.
Yeah.
And it works pretty well.
Yeah, this is very cool.
And we have a little Soundcraft PA board, digital PA board for when we're doing, because I mean, it's a venue. We have some great EAW speakers up there. We have a full lighting rig, and this has sort of evolved over the years. When we started, we just had a little Mackie.
Yeah.
You know, and some just Mackie speakers, which are still here actually, and just on stands. And then as we started to do more shows, we expanded that, and we got better gear, and probably still could use some improvement, I'm sure.
I mean, it's very cool, just visually, and I'm sure it sounds amazing, but I've also been told that you guys have done some really cool events and had some great, obviously the KCRW thing, but.
Well, yeah, we had Alabama Shakes in here. We actually did a live stream for that.
Oh,
and
so
we've
cool.
had Beck in here and Tom Jones, through all kinds of people, which I can't think of off the top of my head, but a lot of great bands. I mean,
yeah.
And KCRW really deals with getting the bands, and it's usually somebody that's got a new album coming out.
Yeah.
Or they're just starting a tour or something like that.
And you like to mix those?
Well, yeah, I usually, if I'm in town, if I don't have any big conflicts, I'll mix the radio show, and it'll be a live mix that they'll just broadcast that.
That is so cool.
And everything's archived on their website as well.
That's amazing.
And so it's really, for me, it's just so much fun because unfortunately it's private, so
yeah.
they don't sell tickets. It's for their big donors that get to come to the thing. But I get to come for free.
Yeah, there you go. That's awesome.
And it's really like a party. It's just so much fun. And I get to meet a lot of people, and I get to hear music that I might not have heard before as well.
Yeah. We all kind of get in our own little worlds.
Yeah, and other music that I really like that we get to do. Let me see, take you through a bit more. We also...
Can we check out some of the mics?
Yeah, oh yeah, the mics. That's a good idea. Yeah, I mean, I don't have an extensive mic collection. I mean, I'm not Alan Sides, but
it's pretty good.
we have a few good things.
Couple M50s, huh?
We got the M49s.
M49s.
The original M49s, which are amazing. An original C24 AKG, which is also incredible. It's the best piano mic there is, I think, on the planet, as far as I'm concerned. A few other things. This is the first, one of the first Mojave mics, handmade by David Royer himself.
Wow.
And there were like 8 of them, I think, that he made for me and some of my friends. And but the usual stuff. We got some KM86s, which I love, the Neumanns, bunch of Sennheiser 421s, 451s.
What's this SM2? Is that a tube mic? I've never seen that.
We're trying to find that. I'm not sure where it is, actually. SM2 is a really obscure little stereo Neumann microphone. And it's just a really small little thing that just came up on eBay, and I went, oh, I never heard of that. It's a Neumann mic, so it must be pretty decent.
Yeah.
And it is. I think it might be in the shop, actually, because it might be broken. But a whole bunch of, just the usual stuff for live shows, 57s, 58s, a lot of DIs, these little drum mics, this Sennheiser 604s. Got some Royer 121s, which are great ribbon mics, Royer SB12 stereo ribbon mic, which I'm usually got over the drums, which works really well.
That's a luxury for a live show.
Yeah, and it works really well in here for whatever reason. And then these things, these Sennheiser wireless stage mics, the 965. Cool. These are fantastic, really good, and digital wireless.
D12.
There's the yoga computer that my wife uses when she does yoga in here with the big screen. What else? And then all the little clips, the orbit, or like a triad orbit.
Oh yes.
Little clips for the mic stands. Of course, we all have a ton of triad orbit mic stands, which are far better than what we used to have.
Yeah,
those cheap ones that break all the time. These are real heavy duty.
Yeah, so you guys have like these mid-sized ones, and then you were telling me they bought at...
The Triad Orbit bought Starboard, yeah. So they make the Starboard.
Which are like the most heavy-duty,
strong for big
stands.
things. I always use that for over the drums. And the second, we have 2, and the second one doesn't get used much, but the thing I love about it is this. It does that.
That's so cool.
How great is that?
Yeah. What a crazy design.
Yeah.
So different than the old Starbirds.
Seriously heavy duty.
Yeah.
You know, the wheels don't break like on these cheap Atlas things, and you know, they have this crazy little ball thing. So there's so many different ways you can set them up. They're so versatile.
Yeah.
They're just great, and they're super heavy duty.
I love like the quick clip style thing.
Well,
too.
the clips are great. All the mics have the little matching clip, and so it's really easy to get on and off.
That's cool. What are these headphone systems?
Oh yeah,
Furman.
we have these Furman. These are old. I mean, but they work great. It's just an old analog system, and we patch into it from the Neve.
Yeah.
And so
that's nice.
I mean, a lot of studios have them. So you can there's 4 stereo things and then 8 monos, and so the musicians can do their own mix. So so they can't complain to me when I'm recording them. I was like, yeah, well, you just deal with it yourself, pal.
Oh yeah, there's the other one behind the kit up there.
Yeah, there's the other one. That's usually where that lives.
So is that a Ludwig up there?
These are Sling. This is one of the last sets that Slingerland ever made.
Oh.
And this is actually the Buddy Rich style series of drums. I mean, he didn't own these, but and they're just amazing. They always sound great. They really do. And we usually try to talk people into using our drums because they're so easy to record. Yeah. Not only that, but this is a snare drum, Black Beauty Ludwig.
Yeah.
Which I had one of these years ago when I first started working with Brian Adams. Brian and I actually, there was only one store in the New York area where we were recording, which was the Sam Ash and White Plains. Yeah. And I called them up. I called a bunch of stores, and that was the only place that had one of these.
Yeah.
And
it's my favorite snare.
Yeah. And so Brian and I drove up there from the city and bought it, and then I used it for years, and it was on a ton of huge hit records, most of Brian's records, a lot of other people's, and then somebody stole it out of, I don't know, probably either Power Station or Bearsville maybe. And so, once again, my incredible wife knew I was looking for something like that, and so she got the drum doctor here to do a search for it, and he found one in the box, a brand new one, which is pretty rare.
Yeah.
And got it for me for Christmas. And once again, we just use it all the time. It just sounds so good.
I love that you put the curtains behind. I mean, obviously visually it looks great, but for the sound too.
Well, yeah, because it gets pretty live because we can draw them back. They're all on kind of motorized things, and
you got brick.
So if you really want to liven up the room, it's
cool.
It's brick there and it's drywall over here, and so you can get a combination of liveness if you want it liver, And this room actually is available on Clearmountain's domain and Clearmountain Spaces plugins. We have a impulse response of this room.
No way.
And which I use all the time.
Yeah.
And
that's killer.
Because it's not really a reverb. It's just this kind of an ambient, this warm ambience, which is really nice. It's barely even noticeable. But awesome. It'll just warm up a track. It's wonderful.
So you've made some impulse responses in different spaces that you like?
Oh yeah. Well, it's my echo chambers at home. Yeah. The Mix This Studio chambers, which we have. We've gotten ones. A friend of mine named Roscoe has this chamber out in the valley, and he let me get one from his, which is more like a really big proper echo chamber. And we've got various bathrooms around, and we got the tunnel going under PCH, where it's like a bike tunnel.
No way.
That's not on anything yet. That's going to be the next version.
Okay. That's crazy.
Where else? A few other places, some stairways, and just a variety. We're constantly doing more when we can, when we have time. Lately I've been kind of busy, so I got to get back to it. But and then once again, we have an original Hammond B3 with a Leslie from 1963, and this, once again, Lucas found this, right? And this was in this lady out in the Midwest someplace. She used to play for horse shows, apparently.
Yeah.
She used to play organ for horse shows, but this was what she had in her house and that she just practiced on, and it never left her living room until she sold it from 1963. She bought it new. And
great condition.
Yeah, it's been gone over by the Hammond expert, Ken Rich, and so it's in really good shape.
And you guys put it on like these rolling risers.
Well, we put it on this riser just to get it around, yeah, which makes it a lot easier.
So much easier than dragging it across the...
Yeah. I mean, once in a while we have to lift it up onto the stage, but now in the Apogee warehouse they have a forklift, which helps out a little bit.
Oh, cool. This is one of my favorite tools.
I know, I love the Leslie. I've always loved that sound from when I was a kid. The first time I ever knew what that was, I went to see a band called the Young Rascals that played at a high school dance in Connecticut, and I remember walking around this. I thought they kept their clothes in there or something. I thought it was a wardrobe, you know. And there's Felix playing organ, and all this sounds coming out. I go, what the fuck's that? And there's something spinning in there.
Yeah.
And I was just immediately, I just thought, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And it sounded so good. And then I started getting into and then I started building them. I built a couple of them.
No way.
Yeah, we had one from the band I was in. I built just a small one for the guitar player with a little foot switch.
Yes.
And we used to do the song Aqualung by Jethro Tull, you know?
Oh,
and you click it on and the little guitar break.
Oh, so good. Such a fun guitar sound.
But anyway, and then this back here, we built a green room. A friend Roger from Apogee is working in it at the moment. But this doubles as a second conference room for Apogee, but we also use it when we have shows as like a little dressing room.
Sure, yeah.
For the bands, you know. Oh, and this is my old Wurlitzer that I bought in the 70s. That's still kicking. We actually use it quite a bit.
Is that I'm gonna 200, 300? What do you remember what they're called?
Good question. I should know that. I don't know. But I bought it because I thought in the 70s I really want to learn how to play piano, and never did it. Never got around to it, unfortunately.
I remember they used to have it like schools used to have them.
Yes, exactly. My high school had a ton of these.
Yeah.
They had like 30 of them or something.
Those were the days when schools had Wurlitzers.
But it's such a good sound. It's a classic keyboard sound, you know? Going back to the small faces, and you know, once you know what it sounds like, you start to recognize it. This is something we found. It was actually back east. I have a house in Woodstock, and there was a film festival going on in Woodstock, and our friend Courtney Cox had a film that she had directed in the film festival. So she was staying at our house with us, and she was really into antiques and stuff. And so we went into the town, I think it was in Saugerties, nearby, to one of these bunch of antique stores. And then I'm walking through and I found this. I go, well, this is really cool. And the proprietor came over and said, yeah, you know, that works. I go, no, really? He goes, yeah, it works. And he cranked it up, and sure enough, it played. I go, wow, what a cool thing. So I walked out, and then later, Courtney went in and bought it for me.
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah, this thing is so cool. Very old. It said 1903 on the patent. Right. Thomas Edison.
The original Edison record player.
Man, that is so cool. Yeah,
but it only played the particular type of, you know, these things. I mean, look at the size of that. How thick
I know,
that thing
it's so heavy.
But there's no electricity at all. You wind it up, and it plays perfectly. I mean, and so what record player this has always worked, and you know, without even having to plug it in. Now, I don't know what's going on. Somebody's using this room for something, I'm not sure. But we have a friend named Joel Taylor that uses this as his little writing space.
Oh, cool.
And then it's like we set it up with some chairs when we do shows, and we got a couple of these QSC speakers that add to the PA so that people can hear it properly up here. And so it's like a little VIP section.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
This is cool. I saw that you got the 414 hanging off here, and then the other one kind of mounted off the light rack. Yeah, are you using those for rooms?
Those are audience mics, basically.
Audience mics, okay,
mics. You know, if I'm actually recording something that I want proper room mics, like doing drums, I'll put up a couple of 87s or something like that. This is our, this is like the machine room shop, junk room.
Oh, cool.
You know, this is the power supplies for the Neve, amplifier for the Yamaha, speakers, and you know, just extra storage.
So this is literally above your head.
Above the control room.
When you're sitting at the Neve.
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy.
And people leave their guitars. So all kinds of extra set of drums, in case we need more drums. You know, and then this is kind of like a shop too. Normally, it's kind of a mess at the moment.
Yeah.
Remember this stuff? I don't know if anybody remembers these things.
Oh, wow.
The Alesis ADAT stuff.
Like a recorder?
Yeah, there's an ADAT recorder.
Wow.
There's an old Tascam recorder. It's like a museum.
Yeah. That's so cool.
You know,
Is this a rain
really
stick?
That, I believe, is a rain stick, yeah.
Oh,
I don't know whose it is. But
that's nice.
Luckily, Apogee has a proper shop and lab, and so if anything really needs to be like repaired, then we take it in there.
Cool.
So sometimes we steal parts from them.
I love that there's carpet all over this and the stage.
Yeah, well, we try to keep the ambient noise down. We've gotten into doing some live streaming, and so we've developed our own little video system. We have these PTZ cameras.
Yeah,
we have two of these Panasonics and a JVC. And so we can control everything from in the control room. We can aim them. They're really high quality, they're 4K.
Yeah.
And
they're fast, like the pan and zoom.
They're really, real fast. Plus, when we don't have an audience,
yeah,
we've done a couple of things for a friend of ours named Corey Henry and his drummer, Tehran Lockett, where they came and played. We had the Sunday gospel stream where he'd play Hammond organ. He loves our organ, by the way. And it's just organ and drums. And well, we'd set this room up. We did a ton of cameras.
Yeah.
It was actually before we got these. And we got up to 8 cameras and a little Blackmagic switcher.
Yeah.
You know, and there was a couple of GoPros. We'd set GoPros on Corey's feet because he plays bass with his feet, and we put one right underneath the drums, and we do these live streams, and it was great. And then I'd mix it, of course, and it's fun. So we're hoping to do more of that now that we got more cameras. Yeah. It makes it easier, and we'll actually be able to do it with an audience.
So cool.
You know.
Yeah, I've been really interested in those cameras. I've seen them pop up more and more on different, shows online, and they're good.
They're great.
They're really
well,
good.
Power Station, now that Berklee School of Music has taken it over, they converted the basement into a proper video studio, and they put these a few of these cameras in every studio, in every room, and they're all tied into the control room in the basement.
So cool.
And so they can do all kinds of really interesting stuff, and they were actually recommended the Panasonics to me.
Well, thank you for doing this video. This was a lot of fun, and it's great to learn the background between this space, and maybe sometime we'll go show your humble basement setup.
Yeah, that would be nice. You probably should, because it's a bit different than this. It's more design. This is more designed around recording, obviously. Yeah. And the home thing's more designed around mixing.
Yeah, I love that you call this the garage studio.
Yeah.
And the other one, your project basement. It's just unbelievable studio. Thank you very much.
Yes.
And we'll get out of here. We'll see you guys in the next video.